Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the January meeting of the Planning and Zoning Board for the City of Deltona. Yes, it's 2023. We will call this meeting to order, and I will ask for a roll call vote, please. And we have some new, at least one new member on here, so that was just appointed yesterday, correct? Yeah, okay. So roll call, please.
Member Alexander.
Present.
Member Berg.
Present.
Member Munoz.
Present.
Member Gonzalez.
Aye.
Chair Northey.
Present.
Alternate Cardo.
Present.
Did they call you, Susan? Did you get called? Okay. Okay. So Captain Gonzalez, correct, is our new member. He was appointed yesterday and got here today when he realized at 3 o'clock that he had a meeting tonight. So we are happy to have you here. Welcome to the board, and we look forward to hearing your discussion when you ring in. We have a new we have iPads in front of us, so for audience members, please know that this is the first time, so we're going to learn how to use these and how to myself as chair, how to figure out. I know that they've showed me, but they might have to come back up at some point and help us. So please bear with us. Okay, so we've had roll call, and did everybody get a chance to read the minutes and the agenda? The minutes of November 2022? Is there any corrections or additions to those? If not, we will file them as they were presented. And we will now go to presentation, awards, and reports. And I don't see anything for presentation, awards, or reports, correct? Nothing on there. Public forum, do we have anybody for public forum? Is that for general public forum, or is that for a? The second one. Okay. All right. So there is no generic public forum, and we'll head old business. There is no old business. We will move to new business, which is resolution number 2023-04, a resolution of the City of Deltona, Florida, granting a conditional use to permit a child care center within an R1 single-family district for the property located at 2300 Howland Boulevard. And Madam Attorney, does this require swearing in? No. Okay. Do we need to announce whether we have been?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Okay. So there's Mr. Paradise, and I just, for the record, want to tell you, Ron, how much we have enjoyed working with you over the couple years I've been on here, and Mr. Paradise is retiring to go good places and do fun things, and God bless him, but we will miss you. You have been a really good person for us to bounce ideas off on. You're always prepared, so thank you very much.
It is, thank you for the acknowledgement, and it is my pleasure to serve this board and the city as a whole. It's been a wonderful experience, and I appreciate that immensely. I'm very grateful for the over 14 years of working. I was
So how long you been here? 14 years?
Over 14 years, yeah.
How long were you at the county?
Over 17.
Yeah, because you and I worked together at the county.
Yeah, I've only had 2 real jobs in my life.
May I ask when it's effective, Ron?
Yeah, it would be next Thursday.
Oh, really? That quick?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
He says, I'm getting out of here.
With that being said, resolution number 2023-04 is a conditional use application for a child care center at 2300 Howland Boulevard. I'm going to be passing the torch on to the next generation planners. We've, had a planner, recent addition to the planning office. We've been kind of holding in a reserve a little bit, but tonight's her coming out party. I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Vanessa Salzo, and she will, be more than happy to present this case and answer any questions you may have. Vanessa?
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Vanessa Suazo. I'm from Puerto Rico. My last experience was 17 years old in like a permit specialties and environmental affairs too. And also the last 3 years like a city planner for the municipality of Caguas in Puerto Rico. And I'm really happy to be in Deltona. And I like to apport for this beautiful city too.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
I apologize. Could you move the mic a little closer down, close to where you're at?
Yeah, that's a little better.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Thank
It's
you.
better? Thank you. Tonight, I will present in the conditional use application number CU 22-0005, associated with resolution number 2023-04 for a child care center at 2300 Holland Boulevard. Let's see. The petitioner is the Deltona Presbyterian Church Incorporated, proposing a child care center services that include a traditional daycare, voluntary pre-kindergarten or VPK program, and after-school care. The location is at the intersection of Howland Boulevard and Austin Avenue, within the facility of the Deltona Presbyterian Church. Please see the orange arrow pointing to the rear building known as the Family Life Center. The applicant representation is from Ms. Michelle Corkins, and the property acreage is about 5.24 acres. The lot has all the utilities available and connected. They have water, sewer, and stormwater system existing, and 2 access driveways from Holland Boulevard and Austin Avenue. The Deltona Presbyterian Church Incorporated was established since 1976 and conducts worship activities in the principal building. The proposal building, the Family Life Center, was approved on 1997, 25 years ago, and have an area of 15,160 square feet, but only proposed to occupy an area of 8,757 square feet. The previous use of the Family Life Center was for an after-school program from the famous institution YMCA until the COVID pandemic began. Another application details is the Department of Children and Family approved a maximum capacity of 53 children with 9 employees. The applicant proposed a study schedule for a better arrival and departure activities to minimize traffic jam and improve the security of the children during the peak hours. The general schedule presented is from Monday to Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 5:45 p.m. The daycare schedule is from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and provide 2 hours during the arrival, 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. and another 2 hours for the departure in the afternoon time. And that is 3:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. The after-school service is during the afternoon at 2:30 p.m. to 5:45 p.m. And the BPK service is proposed 3 days per week, on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday, from 8:15 a.m. to 1 p.m. Another strategy is provide a one-way internal circulation for the drop-off and the pick-ups activities. Furthermore, the schedule of the church doesn't overlap the children's operational hours. The church operates after 6 o'clock during weeks and weekends, when the child care center will be closed. The applicant maintains the 50-feet setbacks along all property lines according to the Land Development Code, Section 110-817, and also the existing natural vegetation on both first and 25 feet, and proposal to supplemental additional landscape planting along Holland Boulevard and Austin Avenue. Also, a new dumpster enclosure is proposed, and the restoration of solar parking spaces. This is the site plan. The access is from the Holland Boulevard. This is the principal access. The secondary access is by Austin Avenue. And I don't know if you see, let me see, I show you. This is the internal circulation. They turn left and going from Holland 2. This is the playground area near to the principal building, the church. And this is the Family Life Center. This is the retention pond existing, and the dumpster enclosure proposal. They provide 97 parking spaces, 6 for the handicap, 9 for the staff, 61 striped and 30 non-striped. And the orange arrow show the row for the staff. And we are conclude. The staff respectfully recommends this Planning and Zoning Board recommends the City Commission approves the conditional use as not in resolution number 2023-04, granting for the Children's Center to include a daycare, voluntary pre-kindergarten, and after-school care program at 2300 Howland Boulevard, with the following conditions: a new business tax receipt to obtain for this new use, and not exceeding a maximum capacity of 53 children and 9 staff. If the occupancy exceeds 53 children and 9 staff, a revision shall be submitted to Planning and Zoning Services to determination and approval by the DRC. Prior to the certificate of completion, the applicant shall provide an appropriate dumpster location and enclosure design, according to the Land Development Code, Section 110-808J. The conditional use approval shall be in accordance with Resolution number 2023-04 and the conditional use site plan. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay. Is the applicant here? Do they want to make any remarks?
Yes.
No? Well, come forward. Okay. And I don't know whether you have filled out a thing to speak, but just give us your name and your address. And
Hi, my name is Michelle Corkins. I am a resident of Deltona and have been for close to 30 years. I have operated a daycare center for about 17 years and have provided care to many of the residents of Deltona over the years. And We look at this as an opportunity to reach out even more to the community. I don't know if any of you realize how our community is really suffering. We have so many new homes, and the problem is there is really not enough daycare for the children. So people are coming from having to drive all the way to Seminole County, Port Orange, New Smyrna, wherever they can locate care. Every day I get probably 5-6 calls, and we just cannot accommodate the children. And they said they tried every single daycare, and there is none available. So I just hope that you will really consider this proposal. And thank you. I didn't know if you had any questions or anything.
Okay. I will. Now, this is where it gets not confusing, but this is new. If members want to speak, they need to request to speak. And so I do not see any commission members that want to make comment at this time.
We are board member.
But, so there, Member Muniz, would you like to make some remarks or question?
Just a quick question, couple of questions in here. On the site plan, you say you had 2 buildings, correct?
Yes.
Okay, one building right now is the place of worship,
Yes.
and the second one was used for some YMCA aftercare.
Right. There's a row of classrooms that was actually kind of built
So
for
basically,
daycare. Yeah.
everything is adequate for just to start classrooms and everything?
Right. It has 6 classrooms that are all in a row that were kind of built for
And
that purpose, but never really used. But the YMCA did use those for several years.
So you lease to the YMCA or some sort, or you got an agreement?
They did but they've been gone. So they left during COVID. So the building has basically been empty.
Okay, give me a second. Ron, can I ask this question, just to clarify to myself? It was like conditional use before in order for them to operate like the YMCA daycare than they had before? They had like conditional use before, prior?
Yes, I believe they had some sort of authorization.
Because they changed the nature of the business, because no YMCA now is going to be a school, Inc.
According to code, if a conditional use lays dormant for 6 months, it expires.
Okay.
So that's the reason why they're coming before us
But
now.
basically, it was used for the same purpose.
There are some similarities here. The YMCA kind of used it more for an after-school care operation, and this is a much more comprehensive child care use being proposed that involves everything from VPK to daycare to after-school as well.
Okay, now to you. So when YMCA was there, the hours of operation were similar to the hours you got here?
They did more like in the summertime, they would be there all day, so that would be similar. During the school year, though, they would do the after school, so it would be like 2 to more like 6.
To 6. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I see no other speakers. Do we have public speakers, public for this one? No. Okay. We have no public participation, and I don't see any additional speakers, so I will entertain a motion. So, that's what I'm trying.
Press the speak button when you want to make a motion, because that's the only thing that the chair can see.
Okay, my motion button is grayed out, but I don't have, when I view speakers, there's nobody there.
Correct. Nobody's at the button.
Okay. Oh, okay, all right. So, Member Alexander, did you want to make a motion?
Yes. I make a motion that this board approve resolution number 2023-04, resolution City of Deltona, Florida, granting a conditional use permit for a child care center within the R1 Single Family District for the property located at 2300 Hallam Boulevard.
And is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second, okay.
I was doing the motion. I don't know what happened.
I don't know either. We're getting used to it. It'll just take us
No, it's okay.
a couple of meetings. probably.
Madam
Okay, so
Chair.
you second the meeting, or second the motion. Any other discussion?
Madam
Member
Chair.
Burke, you would like to make some comment? Oh, you were, okay.
Ron has.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Madam Chair.
No, please.
There are 5 conditions that are affixed to this. Is the intent of the maker of the motion to include those 5 conditions?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to specify that, that should be
That it
specified
does
for the
include the
record.
conclusion and conditions, the conditions, excuse me.
Okay, so we are ready to vote.
Does the second, did the maker of the seconder of the motion agree with those conditions?
Yes, I will second the condition, the additional condition.
Okay, so we now have, you all should have a big box in front of you and just hit the box. And the staff will tell us what the outcome is. Oh, there, it's right up there on, just like, okay.
Well, we did the first one.
Okay, yay! Pat ourselves on the back. Okay, motion passes. Congratulations. You, I know there's a real need in this community for what you're going to be providing.
good luck with the
Good luck to
project.
you. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
The date is,
Do we have the date when it's going to the commission?
That'll be February 20th.
Just so everybody knows.
When, sorry?
February 20th.
February 20.
It will go to the commission.
Okay, we are now on to item B, resolution number 23-01, a resolution of the City of Deltona, Florida, granting a conditional use to permit a private school within the professional business BP for a property located at 689 Deltona Boulevard. And Joe, are you doing the staff right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Good evening, Planning and Zoning Board Chair and Board members. Joe Ruiz, Planning and Development Services. As the Planning and Board Chair mentioned, we have a conditional use request, application number CU 22-0006. Conditional use request associated with resolution number 2023-01. So some background on this application. The site the applicant is petitioning for is 689 Deltona Boulevard. It is a 0.74 acre site. The property, as many may have known, for years was owned by Mr. Pisa and has recently been sold to Mr. White, I believe, of a White Sign Co. And the applicant has now been trying to occupy it and get a good tenant in there to try to repurpose the site and use it for a purpose that will serve the community. As mentioned, based on the resolution, it is a PB professional business zoning district. It was developed in 1996 with about 8,400 square feet of structure. So if you look on the presentation here, we have the PB zoning shown there. To the north is Low Water Street. To the south is Hazelcrest Street. And here's just a picture of the frontage of how the building looks today. So the application request, the applicant is Storch Law Firm, which we saw them yesterday. They're here today. So, hey, Joey. Is requesting permission to use the site as a private school within the PB zoning district. So as mentioned, within the PB zoning district code section, there is a provision for conditional use for this type of use. So just some matters of consideration that you saw within the staff report, and that's within our code as we look at conditional uses. It's things that such as, is it consistent with Chapter 110, which is our zoning code? We do have a future land use policy, which we've attached within the staff report. In implementing the future land use element, the city shall develop and adopt regulations to ensure the maximum extent feasible compatibility of use of areas and properties, including but not limited to such factors as traffic circulation, air quality and odor control, noise control, lighting, and aesthetics. Will the proposal adversely affect the public interest? Can the applicant express these requirements or expressly meet these requirements? Do they follow the Florida Building Code, fire prevention, kind of the same criteria as Vanessa's application? And then other things such as health, public safety, and welfare, the federal requirements, traffic, and things like that. And so what I'm going to do on my next slide here, I'm going to provide some just highlights from those matters of consideration that staff really wanted to point out to you all that were within that staff report. So the site, PB, does provide for private schools via that conditional use. So the applicant is exercising those conditional use provisions within the code. The existing site will serve the need of the community by providing specialized school services within the community. Also, the building is, based on the survey that was provided, staff was able to review it. We did notice that it is an existing non-conforming structure. With that being said, the rear setback is not conforming to the PB currently. It is, the setback requirement is a 25-foot requirement, and the building is only setback just shy of 15 feet. So we kind of wanted to note that, and in part it is because in section 110.817, as you heard in the previous application, it does require a 50-foot setback from all property lines. However, it only affords 15 on the sides and about 15 on the rear. Staff does support the waiving of this requirement, which would be waived with the approval of the resolution that's before you. Staff does support this for the fact that when we did our research, the site has always been PB within the city's incorporation. However, when the permitting occurred for this building, it was approved in November of 1995, so just shy of the city's incorporation. So what it kind of leads us to believe or understand is that the county went ahead and approved the building and the location of it, and then once the city incorporated, it was zoned to the most appropriate type of use. However, being that non-conforming setback existed, so with this, being that it originally never met the original setbacks, staff does support the 50-foot waiver on that side, on the sides and on the rear. Just some traffic highlights. The private school average daily trips based on the 11th edition of the ITE manual. Based on the traffic manual, we have 205 average daily trips that this would produce, and I believe that was based on the number of students. This segment of Deltona Boulevard currently carries about 10,154 average annual daily trips, and this was based on the city's 2018 study. That's the most recent study that we have of this segment. The capacity on this roadway currently to operate at an acceptable level of service, the maximum capacity is 14,740. So if we add that 205, they're still well under that capacity for operating at level of service. So as noted here, segment of Deltona Boulevard operates and will continue to operate above the acceptable level of service E. So the applicant within this application has proposed site improvements. Just to note a few, new driveway as a right out only onto Low Water Street. When they originally came in, staff looked at the site. There were constraints originally when we talked to them about having a kind of daycare or even a private school use, because we had several inquiries. And in talking with the applicants and in talking with the property owner, we determined that possibly if a right out on the north side were to be installed or improved by the applicant, then that would kind of help the circulation around the site as well around the community, not just stack traffic along Hazel Crest. Also, the off-street parking area improvements. I have a slide that's coming up that'll show the site proposal, new solid waste enclosure, and new landscaping as well. So here is an aerial of the site. So currently, as you can see, and I don't believe I attached the site plan, that's bad on my part, but this is the existing site here. So what will happen is on the north side, the applicant is proposing a right out only to limit activity and to limit left turns. So that'll kind of go around the community and circulate back around Hazel Crest to get back to Deltona Boulevard. Also, they will be losing a couple parking spaces on this side to install a dumpster enclosure, which does not exist today. I think the dumpster today kind of just sits out there. So they will be putting a fully code compliant dumpster enclosure in there. And also what the applicant has proposed on their site plan is where the existing ADA parking spaces are. It'll be a drop off for the students. and then they will relocate to the south for those accessible parking spaces. Originally, the applicant was requesting or proposing to put in landscaping, supplemental landscaping all around. Our code does require a 15% update to the landscape requirements or to the landscaping on site. The applicant wanted to put on the backside as well. However, due to utility conflicts, as this is connected to water and sewer, we thought it was prudent just to say, hey, don't worry about doing the landscaping on the back. We don't want any conflicts with utilities. So with all that being said, and with the items that are noted within the staff report, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend the City Commission approve resolution number 2023-01, granting a conditional use for the private school use to be located at 689 Deltona Boulevard, with the added conditions that are both within the staff report and in the resolution as stated.
Okay.
Any questions?
Well, there we go. Okay. Member Muniz, you have questions?
Yes, one question. We got Lul Water Street and Hazel Crest Street. Okay.
Correct.
So we got like a connection to the road on Hazel Crest Street. There is a connection on Lul Water Street?
So they will be installing a connection that'll be a right out only. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because just a little advertisement in here. Since this is like a private service, the school or something like that, it's good for them to encourage parents to come like a Deltona Boulevard in the way up, and to leave Deltona Boulevard in the way up in the same direction, so that way avoid any possible traffic trouble, instead of like turning on, passing from one side to the other side. I don't know if I explain myself. Like, Deltona Boulevard go down and up, it's two lines.
Yep.
So it comes from the bottom, drop it, and then go to the top and keep on going. That's the best way to go to avoid traffic jams in the mornings.
Yeah, and so with the way it'll be,
it's important to let them know that trying to get us as a policy when they give it to the parents or something like that.
yeah. And Munoz, to your point, so what will happen is correct. That'll come through here. This will be the main entrance, and so this will be an exit only to the right.
Correct.
Yep.
In order to avoid affecting traffic in there, because even the capacity of traffic is good, is the turn is going to be a little complication. But since it is a private school, they can talk to the parent. This is the way we want to. They can do it.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to go to alternate member Cardo, and then we'll go to the applicant if they will have anything they want to say, okay? Member Cardo?
Thank you, Chairman. Joe, I wanted to ask you a question. On the curb cut that's proposed for low water, you're saying right out only. Was a right in not considered?
Right-in was not considered due to the proximity to the intersection. So we didn't deem it safe as people trying to turn, and then with the traffic coming north, we didn't want any stacking issues, because with a private school or daycare, whenever those peak hours occur, that stacking can occur on the roadway. So because of that proximity, we didn't want to go that far as improvements.
Okay, so vehicles using that right out only, how far around? They have to pretty much go around the block to get back out to Deltona?
Yeah, and it's not too bad of it's kind of a grid system in that area if you look at the overall map.
Okay. You're mentioning that your applicant is proposing to do improvements to the parking lot. Can you summarize what improvements they're considering?
Yeah, so with the improvements, it'll include that curb cut and that exit out. It'll include the dumpster enclosure within the parking lot site, so that when the dump trucks come in, they'll have that enclosure that they can access. It will include new ADA spaces further to the south, and so the ADA spaces currently are right here. What they want to do is use that as drop-off for the students, so it's closer to the entrance. And then the ADA spaces will be along this area here, and then the landscaping within the buffers and the parking areas.
Okay, so then we're talking about the dumpster enclosure, and most codes don't allow it to be in the front yard. It doesn't look like we've got a whole lot of opportunity to put it anywhere else.
Right.
So with that being said, are you proposing to request that the applicant provide adequate screening of the enclosure with landscape material?
Yeah, it'll have to meet section 110, 808, Jay, Ron, I'm getting there. See, I'm training to be like Ron.
And is there a possibility that you may have to angle that dumpster enclosure to allow the truck to get in and out, since there's not sufficient backup distance?
Yes, and I believe the dumpster enclosure will sit here, and if you look at the conditional use site plan, I believe it is, yes, it is at an angle. Exhibit A of the resolution, it is at an angle, so that they can, since they're front-loaded, they'd be able to pull in and then just back up and keep pulling out.
Okay, and then you mentioned the buffer content along the rear property line. There's a conflict with utilities back there, so there's no ability to even put in a fence or anything to screen from the residences that share that property line?
Possibly a fence. They originally were proposing landscaping. I'm not sure. I can't remember what the original landscaping was. I don't remember if it was crepe myrtles or something like that. But due to the root systems and things like that, as they continue to grow, we didn't want any conflicts with that. If a fence is requested by the Planning and Zoning Board, then we can check with Public Works to make sure that no conflicts exist, and then get with the applicant.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. We will now turn to the applicant or their representative to make any comments, present any material, or take questions.
Good evening, Joey Posey, 420 South Nova, attorney for the owner and the applicant that's for the private school. Just to touch on a few things I was listening to, in terms of trying to make use of a non-conforming building, I don't know the history to it, but given the constraints that we do have on the site, this is a really nice use, that you're trying to take what you got and try to pick the round peg in the square hole a little bit, and that if we can make some improvements like the parking, the landscaping, that this is a very nice complementary use for a neighborhood, and it seems like a win-win in that regard. The rear yard, I was just actually asking the client whether a fence would be possible, and honestly, we have no objection to it. So as long as it's not going to just be torn up because it's in an easement or something. And I think that's what Joe was getting at, that if you plant within a utility easement, the utility companies usually have a very liberal weed whacker. So, but again, we have no objection in that regard, and given the nature of what we're trying to do here, it being a building that once upon a time had a tenant, had a use, there's obviously background traffic associated with that this is an easy transition. And again, if there's any questions or specifics about the school itself, or if there's any engineering-related specifics, we're happy to try to field questions and answer them, but I think it's pretty straightforward.
Member Muniz has a question or comment.
Yes, this is more a recommendation than a question. Regarding the dumpster.
Yes.
There is a item on the municipal codes that may allow you, just to let you, maybe you go into that and look at that. If you got like residential pickup in that area, and that building was covered for residential pickup, you don't need the dumpster. There's an exception. And the second is try to figure it out to put the dumpster in the way to enter, not in the way to leave. So the truck don't need to go all the way in, because that can obstruct a little bit the visual to leave. And that's just a suggestion.
No, I appreciate those comments. We're happy to
look at the codes, and you will see that you have right now cover a residential pickup, you don't need the dumpster. It's an exception.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you pointing that out. And as we're working with staff trying to finalize this, we're happy to look into it to be sure that we're doing what the city wants to see. We want to make sure that we're being a nice neighbor too. So.
You are correct, and it is just a change in. I mean, what you all are wanting to put in there, it seems to me to be appropriate for that area. I'm very familiar with it. I'm very familiar with what was in there, and you're trying to make the best out of a difficult situation. And so I would ask Ron or Joe, this will make this better, correct, than what we have there now?
It's nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It'll be operationally better, and it'll be aesthetically better.
Okay. Member Muniz, do you want to make
Little
a
short.
comment?
Yeah, and it's good for that Deltona area. The Deltona Boulevard area is good, and it's too small side plan, like the less they had to do is better, make it look nice.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. I believe we have public participation on this one.
John McDonald, please.
This old man a second. Get up.
You're fine. We got time. We're waiting on you. Just give us your name and an address for the record. And
Sure. My name's John McDonald. I live in DeLand, 1175 George Ryan Road. My partner and I own the building to the south. We've had experience with different varieties of uses in that building. Right now, currently, what happens is people in the neighborhood are lazy. They don't want to drive to Deltona Boulevard, so they turn around and they drive through our parking lot. Now, 1 or 2 cars a day, and I have a survey I can show you, 1 or 2 cars a day is not a big problem, but if we're going to start having multiple cars stack in that parking lot waiting to get into the parking lot of this facility, that's going to cause a problem. I'm assuming that when I read the staff review, it talked about there being a reserved parking area on the site plan. Unfortunately, I've not been supplied with a site plan. You got a site plan that we can look at?
Only have
the aerial map
version. It's probably really hard to see, but so in referencing here, they have these 2 parking spaces, existing ADA spaces.
Right.
Those will be the drop-off.
Joe, can you put yourself on the mic,
All right, but
please?
in your staff report, in your staff report, you talk about a reserved parking area to avoid stacking on Hazelcrest. That's my main concern is Hazelcrest, because our parking lot goes on, arts out on Hazelcrest, and I don't want to have cars sitting there in front of our space so that cars can't go through our parking lot.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep in mind. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the connection to law water and the circulation created is the goal of that is to avoid that potential stacking event.
Well, that's different. I thought I saw the stat, and I read the staff report today, came down, I got a copy of it. It said, and I can't find it because I handed it to my partner and he shuffled all the papers, but it said in there that there was going to be an adequate reserve space to avoid that so that people didn't stack on Hazelcrest.
Yes, so on the actual site plan document that they provided, there's the 2 parking spaces, and then there's also 5 queuing spaces on site that they've provided in the event that there is a stacking issue or that somebody's pulling out or something like that.
And it would be the same on the right-of-way here? They would be able to stack on that side, or it would only be in the parking lot?
No, it'd only be in the parking lot.
Okay. As
Joey, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, that joke.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
as somebody said, since this is a private, I think it was the young lady up on the left end, since this is a private facility, can the owner notify the people that are coming there not to park in front of the park?
I don't mind telling them that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, again, Joey Posey, attorney for the applicant and the owner. We are more than happy to provide anybody who visits an indication of where they're allowed to park, how the site circulation works, and I imagine if we're not complying with that, as Joe indicated, that we're not allowed to be in the right-of-way anyway. So, there's a lot of ways to keep us honest when it comes to that. And again, I'm also, if you'd like, you're more than willing to give me a call too.
Well, you and I have dealt before, so I know. I'm not against the use. I just don't want.
You just want to be protected.
I just don't want people, as they do now, they come in and they park and they stay there and they leave their vehicle out there for 2 or 3 days. I don't tow them because I don't want any more arguments with the neighborhood.
I understand.
And I don't want to tow.
I think we can get it worked out.
Because I don't want to create that issue.
Okay.
So.
Could we pull up the aerial map on this, the one that's a bigger brought out, and so he can see, where his building is? under your, I got it on the iPad, the aerial map, it's labeled. There's
actually 3 buildings there.
Yeah, that's what I was wanting to confirm, that your property is, you have an aerial map. That's key. One more, or you've got one that's called it?
No, I think you're referring to the one that's in the staff report. I don't have that one in this presentation.
Oh, okay.
But let me see if I can pull it up for the gentleman here.
That's okay, never mind.
Okay.
I think I know
3 buildings, and this is the parking lot.
what his issue is.
And the parking lot runs from side to side, so they can come in and go out either side. And I'm just trying to avoid that kind of confusion.
I think you've been heard. I think that the attorney for the owner will work with you on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay?
All right,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay, all right. And I see no other speakers from the dais, so we will look for a motion for resolution number 2023-01. Do I have a motion? Okay. And we have alternate member Cardo is making the motion, correct? No?
Well, actually, I wanted to ask one more question.
Oh, okay,
So,
go ahead.
Sorry, before we
You're
the motion
fine.
through.
I came for a motion. I don't know.
Okay, well, member Cardo, one,
Question, so I read withdraw.
Time out. Member Cardo has the floor, and then member Burke. Okay.
That's what I said, withdraw.
Joe, can you tell us when the site plan application, assuming that this is approved this evening, it goes to commission, they approve it, it comes back through for site plan review, is that correct?
What we try to do here with this application, just to kind of streamline the process, the applicant has given us a comprehensive set of plans that staff has. And so this exhibit that you guys have here is part of a bigger document, a bigger submittal. And so if you look at the resolution, what we've noted in one of the conditions is because the DRC has had an opportunity to review it, which is where we've gotten to where we've gotten today. The fourth condition of the resolution says the site shall conform to the approved site plan, construction drawings, Exhibit A, development order, and other related documents for this project.
Okay, so this is not coming back to us for site plan review?
No. So the applicant will submit a permit for the dumpster enclosure. The construction drawings based on the approval of the resolution will be approved by staff, and that way they'll be able to do their parking lot and the curb cut and all those other improvements that are listed.
Okay, got it, thanks.
Okay, member Burke.
I was preparing to make a motion.
Okay, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to recommend that the board, planning zoning board, approves the resolution 2023-01, granting a conditional use for the private school use to be located at 689 Deltona Boulevard with the 5 specific conditions enumerated in the staff report.
Okay, does that cover everything for you, Mr. Paradise?
Is it the will of the commission, the board, to add the fence if we can make that work?
Yes.
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 Okay, so
I
your
would
motion
add
includes the
that
fence.
Part of the motion would include the fence to the extent that it's
Along the rear boundary of the property.
along the boundary of the property.
Okay, and is there a second to that motion?
He's going to make a second.
Okay, Captain Gonzalez, correct? Okay, you're seconding it? Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you very much. And then I have on the speaker list, Member Muniz, do you have another comment you want to make? Do you have another comment? You're on the speaker list.
No, he hit it while I was trying to make the motion.
Are you done? Okay. Okay, great. All right. Okay. This is all new technology to us up here, folks. So we have a motion that has been made. We need to pop up that screen. There we go, by Member Burke. It was seconded by Member Gonzalez. And may we please vote? Thank you. Okay, we have a unanimous vote of yes on that, so congratulations to you, and we know you'll do good things down there. Okay, so that concludes all of our active business. We will go to staff comments, but before we do, I would like to acknowledge Commissioner Jody Lee is in the audience, and I think I saw Commissioner Burbank for a while. Both of those gentlemen served on this board, so thank you for your continued interest. So, Okay, we will go to, our staff comments. I have one question before, so I think staff can answer it. Could we get an update on the moratorium, on what's happening with the moratorium?
Yeah, this is the update on the moratorium. As you all may know, it was extended. It is going to sunset on the 31st of March. The city sent out another request for proposal for a consultant to do scoping work, so that we can kind of, get some community engagement to, work on updating the city's comprehensive plan policies and ultimately the land development regulations if warranted. And that RFP hit the street last week. We anticipate it'll be out there for about a month, and then we'll get some responses. We anticipate also that this scoping process will protract beyond that sunset date.
Okay. But it will sunset, though?
Yes, ma'am, it will.
I think there's a time limit on that, right?
Yeah, it will sunset.
Okay, all right. Okay, any other staff comments?
I have none. Joe, do you have any?
Joe, you have anything?
Yeah, I just want to say for the record to the planning and zoning board that Ron will be missed by staff and you all as well. So thank you, Ron, for everything.
Thank you, Ron.
And Madam Chair, I just wanted to say that I fought like a lion to get those little PCs for you.
We love them.
Yeah, I knew you would.
We love them. Thank you.
I know. But also I wanted to say, I've been sitting here with Ron now. We have worked with a planning P&Z that started out kind of rough and it has gotten wonderful. And Ron and I sit here and kind of bask in how well you all do on these cases. It's a pleasure. And even though he'll be leaving, I may or may not be staying, but I will continue to be your lawyer if I do stay. And I've enjoyed this. When you've been doing this kind of work I've been doing it even longer than Ron, but you have
Giving
to
away your age.
Thanks. You have to want to do this kind of work and appreciate the successes you have and feel that you're throwing some goodwill into the community and the world in general. And Ron and I have always shared that about how he works and how I work. So I'm going to miss him very much. And part of to me, one of our greatest successes has been this board. And we have enjoyed watching you all grow in handling.
It's kind of matured, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. And we've gotten some new additions that have offered some really wonderful contributions. And it's something that, I know only policy wonks would say, how could you get pleasure from this? But we do. And we value you, all of you, in what you're doing for the community and the motions. And it's a privilege for me to tell the commissioners when these cases come to them, look at the motion from the P&Z. Look at it, understand what they're saying, understand what they're offering to you. And I've always believed that if people that do this kind of work get good information, they make good decisions. And you all, and I know at times the board has felt like you're not being listened to or you're not part of it, but that's not true. You are a part of what's happening, and they are listening and they are reading your motions in detail.
Well, and I feel pretty good about the board these days. I think we've made some real advances with our maturity.
So I'll try and carry on without Ron as best I can, but it's been a pleasure for both of us together to work for all of you.
We love the team.
So you all will be in good hands with Mr. Ruiz and the rest of the planning staff.
Absolutely.
A great team. Great team. I can't say enough good about them. The city's going to be well served.
So will we get an email on when and where's the party?
We'll move to board member comments, and Member Burke, you have asked to speak.
Make the comments that the chairperson has indicated. Thanking Ron Paradise for his tenure with us, his understanding and learning, teaching us the ropes of the P&Z board, and sometimes taking our sharp and direct questions from time to time. We greatly appreciate your service to the city of Deltona, and you will be missed.
Member Cardo, do you have anything you want to add? Okay, we'll go down the line. Eric?
No, I'm good,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, Mr. Muniz?
Didn't say nothing to
Captain
Mr.
Gonzalez?
I'm just
Yeah,
glad I'm here. I know I'm the new kid on the block.
I got something to comment.
Ron, just FYI, I'm retired, and look where I wound up, okay? So remember that in your retirement. But thank you all for the greetings that everyone has given me. I appreciate it.
Great. Member
Yeah, I
Muniz?
got a little comment, yes. For a start, I cannot be more thankful, for the support. The most important thing is that I personally feel the improvements that we've done, and I appreciate Ms. Chair too. You've been good too, managing the group. And the whole group, basically the interest that we had to cooperate and help with this board, and the encouragement that both of you give us, especially in the legal matters and the other part about the knowledge. And this goes to Mr. Ron Paradise.
They keep us out of trouble.
Yeah, no, the most important thing is that, but at least this experience, it's not just something passing by, it's something that can help us to the future for our lives. But thank you so much for all of you and
Okay, and just
my
to note,
colleagues and everything.
I'm very grateful for these copies of the PowerPoints. It's very helpful. And with that, we will stand in adjournment. Thank you very much, everybody.